In this image, we see a picture of one of the key components of a civilization. Which component is being shown in this picture? This is writing. This type of writing is called cuneiform, and it originated in Mesopotamia. Remember, writing is one of our important parts of a civilization. Here we see writing from ancient India. Do we still use this type of writing today? No. Do we know what this type of writing says? Were scholars able to figure out what this writing says? No, they were never able to figure out what it means. Because this language is no longer used, we still don't know what it means. Cuneiform is also no longer used, as are hieroglyphics, the system of writing created by the ancient Egyptians. A writing system is the way that words are written down using symbols. Different civilizations can have different writing systems or different symbols that they use for writing. The alphabet that we use in English is a writing system that we use every single day in our classroom. Writing is important to civilizations because it allows people to pass down ideas and information from generation to generation, and allows people to keep track of different things. Today, we have lots of books that explain different things or teach us different things. The pages in the book are made of paper, the words are printed using a machine, and another machine is used to bind the books or to put all of the pages together. But the system of writing and how books were made in ancient China is very different from how books are made today. That's what we are going to learn about today. But first, we're going to go over some of our vocabulary words. Character. A character is a symbol or picture used in a system of writing. For example, a smiley face is a character that is used to represent happiness. Remarkable. If something is remarkable, that means that it is uncommon or extraordinary. For example, the birth of a baby elephant was a remarkable event at the zoo. Durable. Durable means that it is able to last for a very long time. In the story of the Three Little Pigs, the little pig who built his home out of bricks used more durable materials than his brothers did. Take a minute to think, have you ever wanted something to be more durable or to last longer? What's something that you wish was more durable? Look at this image. Does this look like anything that you recognize? This is the Chinese character or person. Remember, a character is a symbol or picture used in a system of writing to represent spoken words. Each character represents a different spoken word or group of words. This one means person. Now, look closely at these three characters. What do you think these three characters mean? These are the characters for the numbers 1, 2, and 3. If you wanted to write 3 people, you would combine the symbol for the number 3, shown on the right side, with the symbol for person. And it would look like this. We have our symbol for 3 and our symbol for person. So this says 3 people. Let's try another one. Do you have a guess about what these characters mean? Together, they mean school. There are over 56,000 Chinese symbols or characters compared to the 26 symbols, or letters, of the English alphabet. Most Chinese use only 8,000 in their everyday lives. The writing system used in China today is very much like the one developed in the Yellow River Valley over 3,000 years ago. Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt developed writing systems long ago as well, but their cuneiform and hieroglyphs have not been used for a very long time. So it is quite remarkable to think that the Chinese are still writing with many of the same characters that their ancestors used many years ago. Remember, remarkable means that it's uncommon or extraordinary. What was so remarkable about Chinese writing? How do we know that the Chinese writing system has survived all these years? Well, it has to do with a recent discovery of a most unusual writing surface. What do you use on to write today? Yes, paper. But Chinese farmers digging in their fields unearthed writing on a surface quite different from paper. Take a minute to make a prediction. What do you think that surface might be? This unusual writing surface is bone. Long before paper was invented, the Chinese wrote questions for mystical spirits on ox bones and on the hard protective underbellies of large river tortoises. The kings of ancient China used these bones during special ceremonies in which they sought answers to their most important questions. Bones were not the only things that the Chinese used for writing surfaces. Ooh, let's make another prediction. What do you think would be a good surface for writing? For thousands of years, before the invention of paper, the Chinese wrote on clay pottery, metal vases, silken cloth, wood, and bamboo strips. Bamboo, a woody plant that grows like a weed, was split and scraped to make the smooth writing surface used in China for many years. Out of all of those items that we listed, which do you think would be the easiest to write on? And which do you think would be the most difficult? We talked about bone, clay pottery, metal vases, cloth, wood, and bamboo. What do you think would be easiest, and what do you think would be hardest? In our last lesson, we learned that the Chinese invented many different things. What's something that the Chinese invented? The Chinese also invented something to make writing easier. They invented paper. The first paper was made from a rope-like plant called hemp. The hemp was soaked, beaten to a pulp. Pulp is a soft mash, and then dried into long, flat sheets. This first paper was very thick and rough, and was not used originally for writing at all. Instead, it was used for things as varied as clothing, soldiers' armor, and as a protective wrapping for fine objects. The Chinese continued to experiment with other materials: tree bark, fishing nets, wheat stalks, and cloth rags, to name a few, trying to create a softer, smoother, lighter writing surface. So did they give up when they didn't invent the best writing surface the first time? No, they kept trying. The person given credit for finding the right combinations of materials was a man by the name of Kai Lun. It was he who made the most successful product, creating a type of paper that pleased his emperor or ruler immensely. Finally, the Chinese had paper that was much thinner than the rough hemp fibers, and yet much less expensive than fine silk cloth. Kai Lun's invention changed the world. The softer, more durable paper meant that books were easier to make, and for many years, the Chinese did indeed have more books than any other country in the world. Remember, durable means that it's strong and it's able to last for a long time. However, the Chinese style of bookmaking took a long time. Think about how easy it is for you to get copies of books today. You simply go to the library or bookstore and pick out the book that you want. Before those books get to the library or store, they are easily printed and bound by machines. Well, in ancient China, each book had to be made individually. If you wanted a copy of a book, you had to copy it by hand yourself, copying each individual character or symbol from the very first page to the very last. It took a long time to make a book in ancient China because you had to copy each page by hand. Chinese inventors came up with a solution to printing more books. Block printing was invented. The text, written on a thin piece of paper, was glued face down to a wooden block. Then, each character was carved out to make a wood block printing plate. A separate block was created for each page of the book. If you made a mistake, you would have to start all over again. The method wasn't perfect for sure, but the Chinese never gave up. Over the years, they developed better printing methods that spread throughout the entire world. Today, many people view the Chinese writing system as more than a means of communication. The beautifully formed, graceful characters are appreciated as an important form of art. This art form has a name: calligraphy. Calligraphers, the artists who produce calligraphy, often use soft brushes made of animal hair and dipped in a special ink in order to draw characters for others to enjoy. Like many art forms, it takes a great deal of patience to master calligraphy. Do you think you would have the patience to try it?
All right, my friends, I've got a couple questions for you about that one as well. My first question is about this image right here. What do you see in this image? If you remember from our read aloud, these are Chinese characters for school. In what ways is the ancient Chinese written language different than the ancient written language of Egypt or Mesopotamia? How is Chinese ancient language different from that of Egypt or Mesopotamia? We still use Chinese language today. Egyptian hieroglyphs and cuneiform from Mesopotamia are no longer in use. We do not use them anymore, but we do still use the Chinese written language. Are there fewer characters in the Chinese writing system than letters in our writing system? Or does the Chinese writing system have more characters? There are many, many, many more in the Chinese language system. The Chinese did not only invent their own type of writing, but they invented something important to display their writing on. What did they invent? You've got it. It was paper. They invented or created paper. How did the Chinese develop the right kind of paper for writing? Did they get it the very first time? No, they had to keep trying over and over again. Remember, the first time they tried, it was way too hard. And they had to keep trying until they came up with a material that worked. What Chinese invention was developed to increase the number of book copies? Remember, before they invented this, they had to copy each book by hand, little by little, and it took a long time. So what did they invent to make that process easier? They invented the woodblock printing press. Woodblock printing. Why do you think it was so important to the ancient Chinese to have paper for their writing and block printing to make copies of writing? Why do you think that was important to them? Remember, writing is one of our key components of civilization. Writing is necessary for a civilization so that people can share information. All right, my friends, let's add our writing section. We talked about ancient Chinese writing and their printing processes that they invented and the invention of paper. Writing is so important for a civilization to help everyone stay informed about what's going on and to share that information with others. I'm going to put writing right here, this picture of this person making Chinese characters in my writing section. All right, my friends, this is your only assignment for today. All right, my friends. Nope, I'm just going to cut that all out. We're just going to cut that all out. Because I can't remember if there's anything else I have to do. Oh yeah, we're making a book. Alright everyone, for the next several lessons, we're going to be doing something amazing. We are going to be bookmakers, just like the ones in ancient China. You are going to make your very own book. This book will be an informational book containing facts that you've learned about paper, writing, and calligraphy in ancient China. Your book will have a front cover with a title, and there will be one page for each fact. Before we start writing, we have to have a plan. Planning helps us keep our writing neat and helps us as we start the writing process a little bit later. Today, we're going to work on our plan for our informational book about Chinese writing. On the chart on that PDF, there are two sections. This is our planning chart for our book. The first section says title. Where it says title, I want you to come up with a couple of ideas for what the title of your book could be. Remember, a title should only be a few words, and it should summarize what the book is about. Your title should tell your audience what that book will be about. Some ideas that you could use for a title might be ancient Chinese writing, or characters and calligraphy. Or it might be writing in ancient China. There are a lot of ideas that your title could be, lots of different things that you could use for your title. I want you to give me at least 3 ideas, at least 3 different ideas for a title for your book about writing in ancient China. The next section of our planning guide is facts. Here we're going to write down our facts that we learned about writing and paper and calligraphy in ancient China, so we don't forget as we go through our lessons and keep working on this. On this one, I want you to write down as many facts or as many things you can remember. I need at least 5 facts about things that you learned about writing, paper, and calligraphy in ancient China. So facts are anything like, you could say that the Chinese use characters instead of letters in their writing. You could say that the Chinese invented paper. Did they use paper immediately though, or were there other things that they used? You're right, in ancient China, bone, metal vases, bamboo, silk and cloth,
and clay pottery were used as writing surfaces. Double C. I want you to write at least 5 facts, 5 things that you learned about Chinese writing, about the invention of paper, about the process of making books, or about calligraphy. At least 5 facts. When you are done, my friends, today, there are 2 things that you need to do. We will need to come back to this page as we work on our writing later. So not only are you going to turn it in, parents, I also want you to make sure that you either print or take a picture of this. Either print or take a picture of your child's work so that they can use it in our future lessons as they work on their writing further. Make sure that you print or take a picture of this assignment when you are done, and then turn it in. Print and take a picture first, and then turn it in. That is your last thing that you will need to do today, friends.